One of the most common challenges that people have when they're trying to scale their agency and they're going from 10K and they're trying to get to 100K is the fact that they don't know how to properly hire and train and manage a team. And one of the biggest challenges and one of the most common questions I get asked is, how do you build a team for your agency that's going to help you get to 100K a month, to 200K a month? And it's one of the biggest problems that people who are above the 10K mark in their agency struggle with, right? You can get to 0 to 10K by yourself, but it's really difficult to get your agency from 10K to 100K by yourself. You need to learn the art of building a team. It is so important, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this video. My exact hiring blueprint and everything that you need to build a team of A players so that you don't have to work in the business, but you can work on the business. And this video is specifically for agencies doing 10K a month or more, but if you're looking to hire in any business, you can still take these exact same frameworks and principles, but it is designed for marketing agencies specifically. With that being said, guys, let's go ahead and dive in and break down my exact 7-figure hiring playbook. Now, if you guys don't already know me, my name is Jared Curry. I've built 2 successful 7-figure marketing agencies before the age of 21. And with that, I've literally interviewed thousands of people, seen thousands of applicants, and I've hired hundreds of people across multiple different agencies. And I see so much BS on the internet about how to hire SMA contractors, and quite frankly, most of these people don't know how to properly do it. And that's why I created this entire detail training. So guys, with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the video. And I want to start off by explaining what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be going over my exact hiring philosophy and tips, where to find great candidates, my entire interview process, how to onboard people, so my playbooks, my scorecards, expectations, and then I have a bonus for you guys at the end, so make sure you stay till the end to get that. So I started taking hiring and recruiting way more seriously when I heard Richard Barton, who is one of the most successful entrepreneurs of all times. He said there's only 2 things that matter with the startup: the size of the market and the quality of the team. And that leads me to my first point that I want to talk to you guys about, which is my exact hiring philosophy and my tips for you. So let's go ahead and break them all down. So your company is literally a reflection of your team. If you have B and C players, your company will be a B and C company because you're only as strong as your weakest link. So if your company is a reflection of your team, that means your team is a reflection of you. So if you don't have A players in your company, it's because you are attracting B players because you are most likely a B player or performing like a B player. And this is a hard pill to swallow, but I genuinely believe everyone is an A player, but A player traits will only show if the leader of the company brings them out. Now, the benefit of it is that you don't give control to someone else. You don't give control to your employees. We choose entrepreneurship probably because a lot of us are control freaks. We choose entrepreneurship because we have a vision in mind. So we have to go ahead and regain control and realize that everything is our fault. If my team's not performing, it's on us. It's on me. If I have bad employees, it's on me. I'm probably being a bad boss. And guys, a quick tip for you: you can't get A players if you're paying a minimum wage salary and your team thinks you have a minimum wage vision and mission for the company. It's just not gonna happen. And going back to my last point, right? Everything is your fault. So if you hire a team and they mess up, it's your fault because you either hired the wrong person, set bad expectations, or have horrible training and management skills. And guys, this took me such a long time to realize. So if you can take this information from this video and realize it now, you're gonna be light years ahead and be able to avoid all the mistakes that I made. And next thing is anti-entropy, right? If you guys can accomplish this, your team is gonna be rigged, right? And basically what it means is you wanna hire people better than the last person you hired and better than you. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. So I'll go ahead and break that down. So essentially, if you just hired a closer and you need to hire a second closer, you want the second closer you hired to be better than the last person that you hired. And if you can make sure you have this rule in your company, no matter how long it takes to find that person, once again, your team is going to be stacked and you're going to be rigged because you're only as strong as your weakest link. And then also when I'm interviewing people, if it's not a hell yeah, it's a hell no. I have to have so much conviction in this person's ability. It's not going to be a maybe, I think this person is going to work out. It literally has to be a hell yes or it's a hell no. All right, And guys, the reason why this is so important is because the wrong hire can literally cost you 30% of their annual salary. And that's measured in terms of time, opportunity costs, right? All the time you're taking training them, all the opportunity costs. For example, if you're hiring an account manager and they're just super bad and they cause you to churn 10 new clients, and those 10 clients leave because you hired the wrong account manager, and those clients are paying you $2,000 a month each, that's $20,000 in monthly recurring revenue. That's just lost opportunity costs, right? Reputation damage, right? You hired the wrong closer and they oversell and they cause a lot of reputation damage, right? Legal fees, right? We've had so many issues where litigation can happen or just legal stuff can come up because you hire the wrong person, you have to fire them, and because they're toxic or they have all these other issues going on, they want to involve lawyers because of wrongful termination and things like that. It's actually one of the most common ways for companies to get sued is from their former or current employees. So it can be very expensive. And then recruitment expenses, right? If you're hiring recruiters or if you're spending time interviewing, all of that stuff, it all has a quantifiable dollar amount associated with it, which is costing you guys money. So it is genuinely very, very expensive. So you guys want to make sure you have the right hires, right? And the biggest mistake that startups make is that they overhire and they hire way too fast. So before you guys hire, ask yourself, if you can just make the company more efficient, or do you truly need that hire, right? If there's some sort of automation, right? If you have 10 clients and one CSM can only manage 10 clients, is there a way you can shorten down the check-in calls and still provide a great service, but then not having to hire a second CSM? Little things like that. Figure out how you can just be more efficient versus just going ahead and hiring for every problem that comes up, because before you know it, you're gonna have a bloated team that's not profitable, and that's not the point of running an agency, right? It's supposed to be a cash cow. Next thing is revenue per head, right? It's the best metric to measure efficiency, right? And revenue per head is one of the best ways to measure efficiency, right? So let me go ahead and break down what it actually means. For example, if you have $150K a month in revenue and you have 10 employees, your revenue per head is $15,000 a month. And that's where you want your revenue per head to be for SMMA specifically. Obviously, sometimes there's different agencies and different models, so things can change a little bit, but around 15,000 is what I've seen per month that you want your revenue per head to be. And that's including yourself, including any part-time employees. It includes everyone, includes VAs. Any employee that you have, they are included in your revenue per head. And this is to measure a company's efficiency once again. So if you're below 10,000, you're probably very inefficient, right? Anywhere from 10 to 15,000, you're probably in the scaling phase. And if once you hit that 14 to 15,000 mark, you're probably pretty efficient. You can always be more efficient, but that's typically a good metric that I've seen. I've seen some agencies that have $20,000 and $25,000 revenue per head. Those are super, super efficient. I would say that's like exceptional, but I would say a good average is about 15,000. And this is a great metric to see. Hey, should I keep hiring people? Because if your revenue per head is like $5,000 per employee, it's probably a very inefficient ship and you probably just need to become more efficient. But if you're scaling and your revenue per head is like 14,000 and you're scaling, you probably might need to hire, because that could mean your team is, almost maxed out, right? If you're in that scaling mode, right? All right, cool. Next is creating raving fan employees, right? Creating a raving fan culture. And culture is one of those things that was really woo-woo to me. And once I started realizing how much money it could make me when I understood culture is when I started taking it a lot more serious. And by the way, guys, all the links and resources are going to be linked down below completely for free, because I'm going to be giving you guys pretty much access to everything. So you can just click down below and fill that out. All right. So let's talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because once people achieve the 2 basic needs in Maslow's pyramid, physiological needs, which is basically like air, water, food, shelter, and safety needs, right? Security, employment, resources, health, all of that stuff. They start striving for the top 3 levels of the pyramid. And this is where people start experiencing self-actualization, and they want something more. They want something more. They want to achieve self-actualization, which is just a fancy word for saying they want to feel fulfilled. So you can hire a team and you can be paying the money, but at the end of the day, if they don't feel fulfilled, they're never going to stay with your company, and they're always going to be thinking about all the other opportunities they can do, and they're never going to become an A player for your company, and they're never going to perform at their highest possible level. And you're doing them a disservice if you can't figure out how to help your team feel fulfilled, right? And it's on you as the leader. So the way we do that is by developing an empowering culture And I'm going to break that down. And it requires people to want to be a part of something. You need to make sure your team can feel this, or else they're not going to be able to retain A players. And this is where culture, core values, mission, and vision come into play. So for example, our mission and vision statement at our last 7-figure agency was, we want to shift the paradigm for the entire real estate industry and redefine the word possible, right? Now, I'm not going to talk about mission and vision statements in this video. That's, another video I can make. If you guys leave a comment down below, maybe I can make something like that. But you guys want to create some sort of mission statement. You can look at some of the biggest companies in the world, right? And you're going to see that they have really deep and powerful mission statements. Like I think Legos is build the builders of tomorrow, or creating the builders of tomorrow, which is super deep because it's something as simple as like plastic toys, but it has a deeper meaning beyond that. And that's what's going to empower A players to want to keep showing up, to work weekends, to work late nights. Guys, we've had employees literally work Saturdays and Sundays when we don't even ask them. We've had employees work 12-hour days just because they saw a problem in the agency. We had people create solutions for things that we never even talked to them about like doing. They just did it because they felt fulfilled. They felt connected to the mission and the vision. And that's where things start to change in the agency for you, right? That's where you don't just have bodies, but you have people that are actually empowered and leveling up, and they want to show up and show out every single day for the company, which is a powerful thing to have happen in your business. All right, so if you look at Google, right? If you look at Google's culture, they have bikes, they have people who have sleeping pods, they have a slide in their office. So how can you take something as macro as Google and bring it down to a micro version for your specific online business? And this is where culture really comes into play. So let's go ahead and break it down. All right, so it's easy to hire, but losing employees because they can find better opportunities can be one of the most expensive things in business. Culture mitigates that, and you have to do things like this. And some of you guys might not want to do it, but this is the stuff that's required if you want to get to that 100K level, right? Having all hands in meeting, play virtual games, right? We've had employee of the month, and they spin a wheel. They click a button that spins a wheel, and they could win like cash, or like we'll send a cleaning lady to their house to clean. They'll get a private chef for the day. We'll do things like that, right? Bring in a comedian, a virtual comedian, bring in a virtual magician, bring clients who are raving fans about the company to talk about the service and how it helped them, which is going to make your team feel super good about what they're doing every single day, right? Doing team retreats, right? We flew our entire team to Costa Rica after we hit a big milestone in the agency. And actually there's a video on the channel about that entire experience. So you guys can look for that later. And then on top of that, doing one-on-ones, right? Where you build up your leadership capital by getting to know them and their goals and motivating them to be the best versions of themselves. That's what you want to do in order to build culture. So you can have a team, but without culture, they're just bodies looking for a paycheck, and you'll never be able to tap into their full human potential, which costs the company money in the way of opportunity costs and low performance. If you guys feel like you have a team and they're not performing, or you feel like they could be doing way more, it's probably because you have a horrible culture, and that's on you. So we've talked about culture. Now, how do we actually find these candidates? How do we actually find A players, right? So there's a few different places that I like to use. These are some of my favorites. And the reason why most people struggle, by the way, guys, is because they don't have enough volume, and volume negates luck. So I like to go to groups. So if I go to Facebook right now, I'll show you guys. I can go in, and let's say I'm looking for a media buyer. I can look up media buyer, and I'm going to go to groups, and I'm going to click on media buyer hub. I'm going to click on media buyer world. If I want to find closers, I can look up, I know there's a group called remote closers and high ticket closers right here. I can join all of these groups with 14,000 people, 19,000 people, an unbelievable network to find candidates that are looking for jobs potentially, right? And then I'll show you guys all my job posts and descriptions of how you can actually get people in these groups, but I like to make those posts in these groups because that's gonna bring me my ideal client. Then I always have a hiring funnel, right? So in all my links and my descriptions on like any posts I make on social media, I'll typically have like a link to my site, and that's gonna have like a section where people can go and they can click hiring or need a job or something like that, right? And I'm always gonna have people apply, right? So, and I want people to consistently apply, even when I'm not necessarily hiring, even when I don't need someone. I always want to be recruiting, right? If I've been to restaurants where the waiter was so good, I'm like, oh, they would be a phenomenal account manager. I would get their IG and I'd send them my hiring link. One time I was in an Uber and this guy was like, he just had a great personality, and he told me he just like left his sales job. I'm like, this is a great opportunity. I sent them my hiring funnel. And you guys want a hiring funnel where you can literally show the culture. So in our hiring funnel, we have a video example of one of our team retreats. We have reasons as to why people should work for us. We even have testimonials of people that have worked for me in the past, which is exactly what you want, because that's going to incentivize people. That's going to encourage people to want to apply with you when they can see proof of how good of a company that you have, right? We all get testimonials from our clients, but we never think about getting testimonials for our team. So this is our hiring funnel, and people can fill out an application. We'll talk about this more in depth later on in the video. Then, I'm using my personal brand, social media. I'm making job posts. I post on my stories whenever I'm looking for someone. I'm also going to email my current clients. This is something that no one does. But guys, who's best at selling to realtors? Who's best at selling to HVAC companies? Probably someone who has maybe ran an HVAC company, probably someone who's worked with an HVAC company. I love hiring people that have industry specific to the niche that I'm in, experience, right? If I can hire someone who was a realtor or who worked at a real estate brokerage and I have a real estate marketing agency, I want that person because there's way less ignorance debt and I'm shortening the learning curve, right? Then I want to also tap into recruiters, right? So I love using recruiters because it's just leverage. It's other people's time. I pay them a couple $1,000s, which is so worth it because at the end of the day, your team is the most valuable asset you have. More important than paid ads, more important than anything else in your business. It comes down to your team. So I'm totally willing to pay a recruiter a couple $1,000s for an employee that could potentially make me hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in either opportunity costs, improvements in the company, additional revenue generated, buying back my time so I can focus on bigger opportunities. So I love going the recruiter route because they already have access to so many people that are your ideal clients. So if you can afford it, do it. Don't cheap out on it. And one tip with recruiters, guys, there's not that many good ones. I can refer you to some, or if you click down below, like I said, we're going to link all the resources and I'll list like my favorite recruiters as well in that document for you guys. And you guys can reach out to them, all right? But at the end of the day, don't blame recruiters if you hire the wrong person. It's still your fault because your job's to interview. Recruiters are just meant to increase the volume of applicants. They're not meant to find your ideal client. Now, they're gonna find people that are gonna mostly fit the mold, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna be the best fits. That's your job to properly interview and properly train them as well. All right, then poaching. This is my all-time favorite of what I like to do when it comes to hiring. And the reason why is because the best closer, the best account manager, they're not looking for a job. They don't need to because they are the best. So I want to go to my biggest competitors and poach people, right? So for example, if you're in a roofing company, I'm going to go, if you have a roofing agency, I'm going to go to Angie's List, and I know they work with a lot of home service companies, and I'm going to look for their top salesperson on LinkedIn. If you guys are in real estate, right, I'm going to look at Zillow. I'm going to go to LinkedIn. I'm going to find anyone who works at Zillow, and I'm going to start poaching those people, right? Look at some of your biggest competitors. It doesn't have to be Fortune 500 companies, by the way, guys. It can be smaller agencies that are still bigger than you, and you can start offering people their jobs, right? And it's capitalism, so the best offer is going to win at the end of the day. And by the way, a lot of these Fortune 500 companies, these massive corporations, are laying off a lot of people, so the talent pool is growing immensely, which is pretty cool. So there's going to be great talent in the next couple months that you guys can tap into. So this is my exact job posting description that you guys can use, and I would post this into Facebook groups. If I'm looking for a media buyer, this is what I'm going to post, right? I'm going to say, this is for you if, you love persuasive writing, you're analytical, right? I want to basically break down all the traits. It's not for you if all these things. I want to try to dissuade all the bad people right off the hop. So I'm going to tell them who I'm looking for and basically don't even apply. And I'm going to put the application on the very bottom because I want to force them to read this entire post. Because if they don't read it, if they just click a button and start applying, it's going to waste a lot of my time because I have to sort through applications that don't actually know what they're getting into. I want to talk about all the perks of working with me, right? There's hundreds of agencies out there, thousands of agencies. Why should they work with you, right? So I want to talk about all the perks, and I have one for every single position. And like I said, guys, I'm going to drop it for you guys down below. You're going to get access to all these links and documents. So every possible position you ever need in the agency, I promise you, I have a job description. And if there's something that I don't have for whatever reason, just use the same framework, right? This is for you if you match all of these qualities. This is not for you if this, and then all the perks of working for the company. All right, so after that, guys, let's go ahead and break down my exact interview process, right? This is where you find candidates. So what happens once you find them? You have to interview them. So the way I like to do it is they go to an application. I'm going to show you guys my entire application here in a second. Then they do a group interview. The group interview is a cultural interview. I want to make sure that people are a good culture fit for my company. Then from there, we do a skill set interview. This is where I'm seeing if they are a good closer, if they have the traits needed, the skills needed to be a media buyer, to be an account manager, a VA, whatever it is. Then I'm going to do a quality control interview. So it's a 3-step process, 3 separate interviews. I like to do group interviews in the beginning because I can get 5, 6, 7 people in one group interview versus doing 5, 6, 7 individual private interviews with people that might not be a good fit. This is the first time I'm talking to them, and I've just read their application. It looks good on paper, but I want to see how they do in an interview. So to save me time and allow me to increase volume, because volume negates luck once again, I'm going to do a group interview. Then if they pass the group interview, if they are a good culture fit, move them onto the skill set. If from there, I'll move them on to quality control. That quality control interview, a lot of times is the same and similar questions. And ideally, if you have a business partner, the business partner is doing the quality control interview. So it's a second set of eyes to kind of see, is this a good fit for our company, right? Okay, cool. From there, guys, I want to go ahead. And by the way, guys, I have an example video on the channel of a live interview that I've done. So if you guys want to check that out, check it out after this video, and I'll try to remember to link it down below for you guys. If not, you can just search for it and you can see my exact interview process. And we'll try to put that in the link down below for you guys so that you can actually just access it with all the other resources that we're going to be giving you guys. Okay, from there, guys, this is the actual application, right? And this goes back to the hiring funnel. It's all on Typeform. And then I'm pretty much asking for their name. I want to get their email. I'm just going to walk you guys through it. All right, it's not going to work because it's not going to let me put in a fake number. But what I'll do, guys, I will link this below again so you guys can go through. Just don't submit the application, please. I don't want to get well, I'm not going to get it, but I don't want someone else to have to worry about dealing with a bunch of fake applications from you guys. So just go through the questions, but don't submit it. And you'll see on the application, we ask people to even submit a Loom video and also take a test, like a DISC assessment test, because I like to do personality tests to see, right, does this personality type kind of fit the role that I'm looking for? And those aren't always like proven to like determine if a candidate's good or not, but it's a really good indicator. And then on top of that, the Loom video, I want them to film a 60-second Loom video. If it's more than 60 seconds, they can't listen to the directions. If it's under 60 seconds, they also can't listen to the directions. So I'm trying to see if they are looking or if they are going to listen for directions. And I also want to see if they're going to put in the effort, right? Are they going to put into the effort of the application, or are they going to give me one-word responses, or are they going to write paragraphs, right? That's going to show me a lot about that person. Cool. From there, guys, let's go ahead and break down these next resources for you. And these are my interview scripts. And then I also have a separate one for sales interview scripts, which are 2 separate things. And like I said, we're going to link that down below for you guys so you have access to everything. Just click down below and you'll get it. But essentially, what I want to go ahead and do is my first interview is identify and figure out if they are a good culture fit. Right, so the way I like to identify if they're a good culture fit, right, are they willing to do hard things? So, hey, can you break down a time where or tell me about a time in your recent work where something of high importance went completely wrong, and tell me how you handled it, right? If they can't tell me about a time, then probably they've probably never done anything difficult, which is kind of a red flag. And then number 2, if they didn't handle it the way that I think it should have been handled, and it's not part of our culture, that's pretty much a red flag for me, right? And from there, guys, we have our skill set interview, right? So from the skill set interview, we have every different position in here, from sales to account manager and everything that you'll need, to ops manager, media buyers, all of that good stuff. And then you have the quality control interview. My favorite line here is, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I am the protector and final line of defense in this company. Whatever your experience up until this point, ours is the most important conversation in this entire process, right? So you guys have all of those interview scripts. Once again, I've recorded a live interview. It's on the channel, so I'm not going to really go in depth on that. You guys can check that out yourselves. And then obviously I have the sales group interview, which those questions are a little bit different as well. And you guys can see all my questions in this document. So you have access to all of that down below. Cool. From there, guys, let's talk about onboarding, the playbook, scorecards, and expectations. So this is my entire onboarding playbook. So I first hired the person, right? Once I decided I've interviewed someone and I want to make my first hire, then I want to make sure that I'm setting the right impression. So I want to make sure they get a welcome email right away, they get an onboarding form, and then that's going to trigger out a bunch of cool automations, right? We're going to immediately ship them like company merch, so like a company shirt, company hoodie, all of that cool stuff, right? We're going to add them to the team database. We're going to send out a contract. I'm going to show you guys and give you guys my entire contract for employees, right? I'm going to introduce them in Slack, and then they're going to post a video introducing themselves to the rest of the team, because culture is so important. And then we're going to give them access to an internal training course. So for our company, we have, for every department, there's an internal training course basically breaking down everything that they'll need for that specific role. So for example, account management, how do you talk to clients, our account management process, how do you save unhappy clients, what to do if clients are unhappy, what to do if clients are complaining about lead quality. We have internal training for all of that, and it's like a course. And literally, guys, in some of these trainings, we have like 20, 30, 40 hours of material, because this is so important, training and onboarding. So you don't need all that built out in the beginning. What you can do is first hire your first couple employees, record all of that content, and then you can upload that, so in the future you don't have to do as much hands-on hand-holding training with every new employee that you hire. All right, from there, I want to have an onboarding call with that employee, right? And I want to set expectations. I want to make sure they're bought in on the culture. I want to explain how the company works. And then I want to give them company-specific onboarding and then role-specific onboarding, right? Company-specific onboarding is like, hey, this is how we use Slack. This is how we use Google Calendars. This is how we use our email. This is all the tech and CRMs and everything that we have for the company. And then role-specific is like, how do you perform in this specific role? And then from there, we have the role playbook, which breaks down the entire training strategy for that entire employee, and kind of like the workflow for that employee of how they're going to get trained and the schedule and all of that good stuff. So I'm going to give you guys access to all of that. Once again, it's going to be down below, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is for closers specifically. So once again, here's the Slack welcome post, and it breaks it all down. Then we make sure that they, got their contracts, their scorecards, all their agreements are set up. They get access to all the softwares that they need, because I want them to have access to everything. You want this stuff detailed, right, guys? Because if you don't detail it out, they're going to think that you don't have a professional organization, and first impressions matter, right? I've had employees come on and then they leave right away because I wasn't set up, I wasn't organized. And then once I started building my onboarding process, I literally would have employees back and forth telling me, this is the best onboarding process, this is the most intense onboarding process I've ever seen. And they love it because they feel prepared to go out there and crush it in their role, which is so important. You guys want to make sure you do the exact same thing, right? Then we want to go over mission, vision, and values for the company, like what we sell. Literally their beginning of day activities, their middle of day activities, what they should be doing throughout the day, what they should be doing at the end of the day, what should they be doing if they're not on a sales call. So we break all this stuff down for them, and once again, you guys have access to everything. I'm linking it down below. And then we break down the entire training schedule, and you guys want to have this set up for every single position, right? The first week of training, then the second week of training, right? And then what does it look day 14 to 28? And then also, when do we cut employees, right? You want to basically list out at what point, what metrics, where have they messed up, so that you're not making emotional decisions, but you're making logical decisions, right? They've checked off all these boxes, and then based off this, I know I need to cut that employee, right? So you guys have access to all of this. You want this built out for every single hire that you make. And then from there, we have our scorecard, right? In the scorecard, guys, basically its job is to tell the employee what their expectations are. What metrics do they need to hit? Every role needs a scorecard. What is the mission for that role, right? So the mission for the closers at our company is to generate conversations with potential clients and then converting those conversations into front end sales. And then what is the minimum cash that every single closer has to collect? For us, we have a KPI for every employee, so in every department. So client success, the KPI is lifetime value. For operations, the KPI is revenue per head. For media buying, the KPI is cost per lead. For sales, the KPI is cash collected. And there's always going to be leading and lagging indicators. So like there's other indicators like close rates, but ultimately I will only want to focus for the closer to have one KPI, and then I'll break down all the other metrics that they could have, like closing rate, like show rates, like average cash per sale, that could kind of help them achieve their goal. But I don't really care how they achieve it as long as they hit the overall main KPI, right? So for us, once again, it's 54K and new cash collection, and it breaks down the entire checklist of like what the onboarding should look like as well, so that they know. And then we also talk about ascension for the employee, which is super important, where we talk about, hey, you're a setter now, you can eventually come to become a closer. You're a closer now, you can eventually become the sales manager. If you don't give your employees an ascension plan, they're gonna get bored, they're gonna look to level up in other areas. People join startups because they wanna grow. And if you keep someone in a role too long, they're not gonna feel as though they're growing, and then they're gonna look for other places of work because they're not gonna feel fulfilled, right? And going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we want them to achieve self-actualization. All right, from there, guys, you have the entire onboarding process, and this breaks down like how do we set expectations. We get to meet the employee, we share about our vision, and we share social proof. We're literally indoctrinating them, and we kind of want to create a cult, right? We want them to feel like this is the best company to work for ever, so we're breaking all of this down for them in the expectations. We also break down like who's how is the company structured. Most people, they bring on an employee and the employee doesn't even know who's responsible for what in the company because it's never explained to them. You literally want to pretend like you're explaining a company and explaining everything you do to a 4-year-old. You want to break down every little thing in the company, and like when they would reach out to certain people in the company. As your company grows, as you have more and more employees, things can get lost in communication and translation if you're not properly communicating with the employee who they should be communicating with. So little things like that are super important. And this is, we break down the product as well, right? So many people, they hire employees, especially salespeople, and they don't even explain to the salesperson how the product really works. So these are all little things that you guys want to do. You have access to all of this stuff down below if you click the link. And then last but not least, guys, is the contract, right? So this is our entire contract. It includes a non-disclosure agreement, it includes a non-compete, and a non-solicitation. I'm not an attorney. You guys can use this if you want, but I'm not an attorney. I'm not responsible for anything legal. But you guys can leverage this, and I would consult with an attorney to see if this is accurate. And this is pretty much basically going to protect you as much as possible when you're hiring employees for your company. Alright guys, with that being said, that is pretty much everything on like how do you hire, my hiring philosophies, where to find candidates, how to interview them, how to onboard them and train them. I pretty much just did a mini masterclass for you guys, completely free. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you smash that like button, and I'm going to leave you with one last bonus. So these are the biggest hiring and management failures I've ever made running a team. So hopefully you guys don't make the same mistakes. Issues arise when expectations differ from reality. So setting proper expectations with your employees are super crucial. Hiring for skill only and allowing bad culture fits to come in is cancerous, guys. It's one of the biggest mistakes I made. Culture first. I can always teach skills, but I can't teach how to be a good person, how to, be a culture fit, right? That's very tough. Automation versus abdication, right? Abdication is like just throwing people into the role, never training them, never talking to them, right? You want to talk to your team consistently every single day is when I was talking to my team, right? Properly training your teams, resetting expectations. There's a saying, right, in our company, or when we had our agency, we're essentially like, as managers, we're the CRO, we're the chief reminder officer. We're just constantly reminding our employees about what they should be doing, what's expected of them, and what KPIs they should be hitting, right? It's super important. Knowing your team's goals, right? This is also really important, right? Knowing why your team is here, knowing their personal goals. I would have a Google Doc for all my employees that I was responsible for, my direct reports, and I would list out their goals, and I would try to figure out how do we help them achieve their goals, and how does that relate to the company, right? If I can make everyone's goals in alignment, then we're all moving toward the same mission, and then our incentives are aligned, right? So many people, they talk about, yeah, our goal for the company is making 100K. How does that benefit your employee, right? If you can show your employee how that benefits them, then everyone's gonna be focused on achieving that. But no one wants to make you rich, right? They want to help themselves, right? People are selfish, and that's okay. I don't want my employees to work for me. I want to work for them, because if I work for them and if I help them accomplish their goals, then they're going to help me accomplish the company goals, and it's going to just be a byproduct, right? And it's a way easier way of thinking and getting your team to do what you need them to do. Cool. Next is internet speed, right? We're in virtual companies, guys, for the most part. You want to make sure your team has good internet speed, especially if you're hiring across the world. Test their internet speed. You can just go to Google internetspeedtester.com when you're interviewing people and making sure that they have good internet. It's really unfortunate when you have to fire people because they just have horrible internet. It's very, very unfortunate. All right. 1 foot in versus 1 foot out. I don't hire part-time people. They have to be all in on my company. If they have another job, another business, I really don't want them in my company. It's just not going to work out. Part-time people have never worked for me. Especially if it's a revenue generating role. Sometimes like VAs and like low level, entry level positions like that, you can maybe get away with part-time people. I just don't recommend it. And guys, last thing I'm going to say is this quote from Andrew Carnegie. He said, "Leave me my factories and grass will grow on the factory's floors, but leave me my people and we will build a bigger and better factories." Guys, it all comes down to team. It comes down to culture. It comes down to leadership. Your team can literally take you to 100K. If you can just crack the code on how to hire the best people possible and how to be the best possible leader, there's no reason as to why you won't be able to scale to 100K. Remember those two things. The only thing that matters in a startup is the size of the market and the quality of the team. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. This took a lot of time and energy, so make sure you smash that like button. I would really appreciate it. Share it with people that you think might need to hear this. Make sure you click the link below to get access to all the resources, all the valuable content that we shared completely for free. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Yo, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you liked it, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on bell notifications so I can see you in the next one. And last but not least, make sure you guys check out one of these fire videos that the YouTube algorithm just hand selected for you. And guys, if you want to work with me on a one-on-one basis so I can help you scale your agency and take it to new heights like I've done in the past, because I've built 2 7-figure marketing agencies before I could legally drink, go ahead, click down below, fill out an application, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.